Greetings, folks, and welcome to my first uh, year-end speculation series. And in this series, we're going to be discussing Image Comics year-end for the year 2020. Now, I will be doing this for the whole week with all the other companies. So Image is what I'm focusing on for just this specific video. All right. Um, so let's have at it. Okay, so in the year 2020, I spec on this book, Scumbag. Um, I know it's late in the year, but it's still 2020, and it's gonna only count in 2020. So yeah, for 2020, I can't count this for next year. So I know it's late, but I had to go this route. Um, I went with Scumbag 2 because I don't have a copy of Scumbag 1 with me. They're still on order coming from the Comic Mint. I bought a 5 pack, 10 pack actually, with 5 cover A's and cover B's coming from the Comic Mint, and I'm still waiting on those to come. All I had to show right now is issue 2. So, otherwise I would have showed issue 1. That's why I'm starting it off with these because everything else is going to be issue ones, right? Scumbag series, written by Rick Remender, art by I'm not sure who Robinson, but yeah, it changed. The artist changed, so it's kind of whatevs. The next specs that I have kind of late, but this is the only way to start because it's not January, it's December. I'm specking on Homesick Pilots now. Um, the premise isn't bad if you're into like 90s Hollywood band thing going on. Uh, Even though the art doesn't look like they're dressed like from the 90s, they look more like millennials. Yeah, no, I know you try to get cool points from the older guys, but yeah, you failed. Those guys' pants are too tight. No way in hell in the 90s that would have been a thing. they they didn't really wear skinny jeans in the 90s, especially in the mid 90s, man. But yeah, band in a trying to do a gig in a haunted house, drama. It's not bad. It started off pretty good, and this guy, the writer of this, and here's all the different covers. Waters, he did Coffin Bound, which is also a really good book. The only problem is I would have spec for that use that for a spec this year, but it came out last year. Uh, but yeah, and his work is pretty good, right? Um, yeah, I'm gonna be showcasing Coffin Bound stuff. So we already showed you that. Cover A right here, right? Is looking promising. But again, the problem with indie books, indie concepts, it all seems to me like these guys are all swinging for Netflix deals. That's really what it's come down to. All these independent shit, they all look like they're trying to get Netflix or Amazon deals because you could tell when you're reading this stuff that that's kind of where they're going at, all right? But I'm specking out, and of course, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a spec book, and like things like The Walking Dead went up in price based on those kind of things, all right? So next in that spec thing, speaking of spec, um, Decorum by Jonathan Hickman. Now, this was a different kind of spec for me. It's the best way I could describe it is somebody who's just too genius that I don't know if anybody can really appreciate the level of genius that this like it's a kind of genius that even went over my head kind of stuff. So I guess the real word is it might be more pretentious than genius, right? Um, yeah, it's supposed to be real smart, real clever stuff, but a space opera kind of thing. And I don't know if it'll necessarily translate well in a Netflix television deal or series or whatever they're trying to whatever Hickman was trying to do with this thing, but it's definitely not like your traditional comic book format. It's all over the place. And again, maybe it's just me. It's it's a it's not my kind of book really. At least not right now. It isn't. It's too ahead of its Time, I guess, for me. It's way, or I'm just too dumb. One of the two. But either way, it's a clever book that's just beyond me right now, and I'm trying to be a come up with a euphemism for this, other than yeah, it's the proper euphemism, but that's the only way I could bring it up without sounding like I'm hating on it, because it might be really deep and there's all sorts of layers that I don't see, but to me it's just so out there, and I've never been one of those people who learn to appreciate fine art, so I really can't. Maybe it's just one of those things where you have to like fine art to understand, and it's beyond me. So yeah, I mean, I spec'd on this because it might, people, regular people might catch on, and I'm just one of those dummies that just don't get it. The art's alright in some parts. It's all over the gosh damn place. Some parts are black and white and colored, and like I can't really figure out what's going on. But Hickman, I've enjoyed his Marvel stuff, and I figured I'd give his his independent stuff a chance. And man, you give him too much freedom, and you end up with this artsy product that I don't know if it'll ever pan out. But I guess $3 or how much it was. Oh, never mind. This was $5 to gamble on. It might be good, might not be in the future. Who knows? We'll see if the Netflix or whatever movie deal this motherfucker gets. All right, sorry about that, folks. um, um, the next spec for the image, world is firepower. Now, I spec'd on hard on this book because, well, it's Robert Kirkman, and it's a lot like Street Fighter, as you can see by the Hadoken pose that our protagonist is doing. Right now, this is issue 1, but the first appearance isn't actually in issue 1. It was in Free Comic Book Day firepower, which I have a ton of because I'm specking hard on this book. When it catches on, if it ever catches on, and you never know. I don't know who's what. I don't know what the future holds. Will people all become all of a sudden Street Fighter, Iron Fist kind of fans, and watch it on TV on some kind of series? Who knows, right? Like I could have never predicted that a zombie apocalypse series was going to be a thing on television until it happened, and it became a great hit. You know what I mean? Like, who thinks of that? A zombie show? I already saw Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead, or all those different zombie movies, right? How I didn't know you could draw out an actual drama with zombies, right? And yeah, I too, my dumbass, fell into the trap, and I picked up the gold cover, right? The hyper rare one, because based solely on the body of work that Robert Kirkman had already done before. You know what I mean? He done Invincible, and Invincible looks like it's going to be a thing in Amazon Prime, and that book is spiking really high as far as prices go. So I figured, all right, well, I don't want to be the dummy that misses out again this time. So yeah, firepower. Okay. The art is kind of really old school, so it might not be for everybody. Next book that I spec'd hard on, another one of those really, how do I say this? Books that are dying to be a Netflix deal. Undiscovered Country. It's very, how do I say this? I don't know if it'll even be popular anymore now that Trump's out of office, because this book basically seems to be like the attitude of what America would be like in a isolationist situation, right? And again, this book is woke, and the layout is just yeah, it's screaming Netflix deal. And again, as a spec book, Netflix popularity, and it's Scott Snyder. His, I base the spec mostly on what he has done with DC Comics with Batman. All of his runs in Batman seem to have been very good, right? So I figured I'll give his independent projects, a chance. And so far, this has been okay. It's Mad Max as a result of America in a Mad Max kind of weird post-apocalyptic situation as a result of our isolation. So, and it meets Wizard of Oz and Narnia with an American twist kind of situation. So, again, I spec'd on this based on Scott Snyder's body of work in the past. This is cover B, cover A right here, right? And I went and I bought some retailer incentives because I just love certain, the art from what I saw, right? Like this one's by, oh my gosh, Stephanie Hans. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So this cover was dope, right? And, yeah, I picked up this, retailer exclusive. I believe this was Midtown's exclusive. This is the trade dress. I forgot who did it, but this looks sick too. I love it. This art is pretty badass. All right, the cover sold me on the premise too. Like, I'm like, okay, well, if the art was at least this good inside, then it's what's up. But looks like it's just a cover thing, and this cover's what's up. Yeah, it's a fancy cover. I love it, but yeah, the inside's a little bit more not like this. Like heavy metal, right? So, please excuse the noise, my friends. I'm not by myself. Here we go. Stillwater 1. This series, Chip Zdarsky, he's on the rise. He's a star on the rise. His star is on the rise, and I don't see it going down anytime soon. And before I miss out on on the next Walking Dead kind of situation, I picked it up. Stillwater 1, a horror series done by Chip Zdarsky. And if anyone's been keeping track with what he's been doing in Daredevil, I have a feeling that anything that he's going to be doing is just going to be really dope too. He's like the next of the guys that I spec'd on earlier. His next Scott Snyder, his next Donny Cates, the next Hickman, the guys who run stuff now, the guys who run shit now, right? This is the guy who's going to be doing that kind of stuff. He's next in line, right? With Chip Zdarsky. Yeah, speaking on this book based on that. I know it's recent, but it is what it is, right? Speaking of somebody whose star is already on the rise, Donny Cates, crossover 1. Now, everybody heard me, well, not everybody, but the people who've been watching my channel know that I, take jabs at Donny often these days. Again, I think I'm more salty about what he has done with the Century, and to me it speaks volumes about his either just lack of not reading what's going on recently, or his just don't give a crap about what his peers have done before him to do his story. And I don't know, it's not necessarily his fault. His editor should have said, "Nah, man, you did this is what happened to the Century before. You can't write it like this. You got to address that." And they didn't. So maybe I am being a little too hard on Mr. Cates, but yeah, I spec'd on this book solely because of his rise in the Marvel universe. And this dude, I have a feeling, is just like all them other cats who are ready to try to cash in on their Amazon Prime, Netflix exclusive deals like Mark Millar did. But what they don't realize is Mark Millar had already kind of put in like 15, 20 years of work before he finally got his deal. So y'all may need to work a little harder to develop that kind of thing and pace and stuff, all right? But yeah, crossover is that was the hot book by Donny Cates. There's all sorts of different variant covers. I just went with cover A, and this is cover A, not even the secret thing or anything. I was reluctant to get more than this because I was just running out of space, and maybe I'll come to regret it, you know. But yeah, that's kind of what's up. And last, I'm going to go with the next one, last but not least, my most favorite thing that I'm specking on for this year, because the premise is so good, even though the art's just kind of whatever's inside, is the Department of Truth. The Department of Truth. Yes, this was my year-end image pick of the year, right? I believe in this product. The art is solid as far as it making sense for how the story is being told. The premise is just so dope. I don't want to spoil it for any of y'all. You just have to read issue 1 and beyond. It's great. Please, folks, you have to read it. It's really, especially that first issue. That ending is a doozy. Surprise, motherfuckers. That's kind of what happened there. I was like, wow. Couldn't wait to read more. All right. Yeah, this cover, Jennifer Frison variant cover B, and the traditional cover A by Martin Simmons. This is his cover A. This was my pick of the year because this is the one book that I found the most intriguing, overall. Right, and obviously my absolute pick of the year was this variant cover. So this is my ultimate spec book. This bad boy is going to get signed and slabbed at some point when there's that first opportunity I'm allowed to find James Tynion and Martin Simmons. All right, so this is my year-end image speculation series. I believe I'm going to try to do Boom Studios next. Throughout the week. So yeah. All right, guys, until the next video, ciao.